Welcome to Chapter 5. Thought I would start off this week's lesson with a little accountant joke. A woman goes to the doctor and is told by her doctor she only has 6 months to live. She says, "Oh my God, what shall I do?" The doctor says, "Marry an accountant." The woman says, "Why? Will it make me live longer?" The doctor says, "No, it will just seem longer." Okay, so in this week's chapters, we're going to be talking about inventory. And I'm going to break this lesson down into a number of small videos, which will hopefully make this a bit more manageable. So what we will talk about is companies that have inventory. So we're not looking at a service company that is selling their time. We're actually looking at a company that has merchandise. And so in order to have a transaction involving merchandise, you have to establish a file for each inventory item. Every widget you're going to sell needs to have an inventory item. And these files are included in what's called the item list, which is located under the list center in your toolbar. And so once you have an inventory item established, you can enter bills related to that item, you can write checks related to that, create invoices, enter sales receipts, and adjust how many of those you have on hand. Every time we buy or sell merchandise, the item in the item list gets updated so that we know what we have on hand at all times. Similarly, it will also change the values in our balance sheet so that when we know inventory is an asset. So it will continue to keep an up-to-the-moment value in our balance sheet of our inventory. If we were using a manual accounting system, we would have purchases being recorded in a purchases journal and sales recorded in the sales journal. In QuickBooks, our item list is going to be our inventory subsidiary ledger, and it's going to have all of the information that we need about the inventory items. What we paid for it, what we're going to sell it for, part numbers, any kind of descriptions of those items. Let me just move this. So when we look at a comparison between a manual accounting system and our QuickBooks, in QuickBooks, when we write a check, and we're going to purchase inventory, it will automatically update that inventory information. And we can also manually go in and adjust quantities if for some reason we've got to maybe we have some defective inventory and we want to not have those included in our count. We can go in and make those adjustments. If we have inventory that walks out the back door, due to some sort of theft, we need to also make adjustments to ensure that what our inventory reports are showing is actually what's saleable and available in our warehouse. So the inventory subsidiary ledger in a manual accounting system is the equivalent of the item list menu in QuickBooks. Hopefully you remember from accounting, there are two types of inventory systems, the periodic and the perpetual. Under the periodic system, we're not updating our inventory with every transaction. Instead, we're only recording sale, 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 sale. At the end of the accounting period, we do an adjustment for all the inventory that we've sold, and so we don't really know in real time how much inventory we have on hand. On the other hand, and let me move this in. Under the perpetual system, we're updating our inventory in real time. So every time we buy or sell something, not only are we recording the revenue and the income side of it, the cash or the accounts receivable, but we're also making adjustments to our inventory count. And so QuickBooks actually uses the perpetual system, and it also happens to be my preferred system, because I always want to know what inventory is on hand. I don't want to not have my inventory updated till the end of the month and just hope that the stuff that I'm selling to customers as the month grows on is actually still in my warehouse. So QuickBooks feels similar to me in that they want to have the accurate quantity of inventory reflected in real time. And we also want to know what our gross profit is at any point in time without having to go out and do a physical count of our inventory in the warehouse. Here's a picture of the item list. And very shortly, I will hop over to the real version and we can look at this. But I think this is, no, this may not be Lynn's. This may be Kristen Reyna's inventory item list. And note, these are all assigned to various accounts. We've got the inventory part number. And so just as when we were selling services, for every type of inventory item that we sell, we're going to have the inventory, it's going to have its own little file structure. And just as with the customers that we've added and the vendors we've added, it is far easier at the outset to go in and put all your inventory information in, not get your inventory in the door and have a customer want to buy something and then you go in to do the transaction and it says quantity 0 because you didn't bother to make the update when the inventory arrived. And so while QuickBooks will allow you on the fly in the middle of a transaction to make adjustments to your inventory, it's really not a best practice type of routine. And you're far better off to make sure that your inventory counts are kept current on an ongoing basis. As soon as inventory comes in, it is entered in your system, and then you're not selling something and having to go, ooh, it won't let me do this sale because it says I have none. And so, as I said, we're going to, in the list, have all the information about the inventory item. In addition, we're going to have some notes about who we prefer to buy this from. If somebody's on vacation and we run out, it's very handy to be able to just look in there and go, oh, we buy this from whoever. And there may also be things that are taxable and things that are non-taxable from a sales tax standpoint. And for those who work in New Hampshire, that may not be as big a concern. But QuickBooks will allow you to indicate what items are taxable. If you work in a restaurant, for example, there may be items that are taxed as rooms and meals, even if you're in a situation in New Hampshire where there is no sales tax. If you work in Vermont, for example, you might be working in a situation where they might sell food and merchandise. So you might have items going out that are in your quote unquote inventory, one involving rooms and meals tax, another involving traditional sales tax. So QuickBooks will allow you to set that up properly at the outset, and then you don't have to think about it with each transaction that you do. And this is, and I will go over to the live version in a second. We can look at these items. So in order to add an item to the list, we go to our lists and then we're going to click new, and I'll actually pause this here if you want to stop and take a look at this. Then I will resume over the live version. Here we are at our live version of QuickBooks, and you'll see we've got our familiar, hopefully by now, toolbar here at the top. And among those items, we have there are many things on our list menu, but one of them is item list. There we go. My mouse is being a bit fussy today. So I'm going to just maximize this so we can see the nice larger view of it. And I will move this down here. Okay, I think we can capture most of that. All right. And so in this case, I didn't open the file in your chapter, which was, I think, Kristen Reyna, but the file instead that will be used for your homework, which is Lynn's Music Studio. And so you can see here that Lynn has a mix of products and services. So we have, for example, the services would not be subject to sales tax, but the products would be. And it indicates that there's sales tax in here. And if you are working in any sort of an e-commerce situation, now the way that the trends are going, companies need to have sales tax accounts in any company that, any state that they're doing business in. So you might have sales tax items that are affiliated with, every state in the country if you are involved in e-commerce. So let's just take a look. We'll open one of the services and we'll open one of the inventory items. So we've got here guitar lessons. Now we could have this be a sub item of some other kind. If we did that, we could then choose or add new if we wanted to have maybe all lessons as kind of an umbrella. And then if we had guitar, piano, maybe we, give basket weaving, something like that. And we wanted to just be able to have an overarching total for all lessons. And then we wanted to be able to look at them individually. We might want to do that. And so we've got our description. This is going to be non-taxable. If we wanted that taxable, we would list that there. What our rate is and what account on the income statement that this is going to land on. And if we chose to make the item inactive, then that would be the place to do that. Again, you've heard my soapbox about deleting items. This happens to be a service, so it's indicated here. And so it's sort of big on your screen, but I'm just going to X out of that real quick. We'll go back to this menu. I will just double click on guitars. Now this has got a little bit more information because now we need to look at things like how much we have on hand, what our average cost is, things like that. We're not as concerned with, we don't have cost of goods sold with a service item, so we don't have to worry about that. We've got tax, what we sell it for. And if we wanted to note the manufacturer's part number, something like that, that might be useful information for us to have. We could also have a little note here if we wanted to have that date and time stamp it, print it if we chose to do that. But all of that just helps because we may not be the only people that are accessing this information. So to the extent that other people are going to use this over time, having notes and things that other people can rely on will save others lots of time. And so if we want to add an item, we can go item, new. Now we can decide, is this a service item, inventory part, assembly, non-inventory? So this gives us all kinds of options we can choose from here. So we'll just say inventory part. As an inventory part, it then opens up the opportunity for all kinds of cost information to be put in here so that we know when we sell it for X what we paid for it, and then that will determine what partially determine what our profit is. If we had some preferred vendors, we could indicate those there. And a reorder point's particularly helpful. We don't want to completely run down our inventory down to nothing. So this is an opportunity if we wanted to make sure that we had, it triggers us to reorder when our inventory gets down to 5. It will remind us to do that. And then we don't want to carry too much on hand. One of the biggest areas of waste in a company is ordering excess inventory. Shelf space of inventory is very valuable. And when you have inventory that's not moving because you have too much of it, that's a huge waste for a company. So no company wants to order more inventory than they can reasonably sell in a normal time period. So if you want to change your units of measure, um, and but that might be a kind of an. So we can, if we want to edit one of our items, we can do it one of two ways. Again, we can double click on this, go in, make the changes we need, or we can go into edit item. We can similarly make an item inactive from this menu, and that will, or we can double click and go in and check the box that I had shown you earlier to make that inactive. So we're back here at the slides, and basically, while I was at the live version, I went through the next few slides to show you what you need to do. You can certainly pause these if you want to spend more time actually reading them. But I'm not going to jump back and forth and go through them now. We did talk about editing. And so the inventory center is just going to show us just, like with the other centers that we've had in our, the customer center, all those things. You can get a listing of all of our items that are in inventory. It's not going to display non-inventory part items. So if something's not in our inventory, it's not going to show up here. And I'm going to stop this video and I will go on to the next video for the next part of this chapter.